Yo, what's good? It's Delinquent out here, man, and today we got to talk about Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion ever. Now, let's get right into this. Now, Jack Johnson was born in 1878, March 31st. That was a long time ago. Long time ago. He was born in Galveston, Texas. Now, I didn't know what that was, but when I searched it up, especially back then, that was a place for Negroes, a very poor place, a very bad place. Now, apparently, allegedly, Jack Johnson was born to former slaves. Allegedly. The reason why I say that is because they want you to believe that all black people born before 1865 were slaves. That's not true. Johnson's parents might have been freedmen. We don't necessarily know. Maybe Jack Johnson did say his parents were slaves, but we don't really know that. They just say they were slaves because they were born before 1865, and that's not really a good reason. There were thousands of free black people in the 1800s, if not tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. Who really knows? Now let's get right back to this. Now Jack Johnson, you know, born in a poor place, he learned how to read and write. He actually knew how to read and write, was actually quite uncommon back then, especially for black people. A lot of black people couldn't read or write back then, but he could. Now, he got his boxing start in what's called the Battle Royale. This is actually where we get the Fortnite Battle Royale from. This is actually where we get it from. The Battle Royale. Pretty much, it was a bunch of niggas blindfolded, forced to, box each other, just fight each other, and the last one standing got a toss full of coins. And the truth is, this was kind of like a clown show. This was very embarrassing to take part of because everyone was laughing at you. It was just sad, but especially back then in the early 20th century, most of the top level and high level Negro black boxers, that's how they build their acclaim. That's how they build themselves up by partaking in these battle royales, and it was quite unsavory. But that's what Jack Johnson did. Eventually, was able to partake in higher level boxing bouts, and he just kept on going up, and eventually he was able to win the Negro Championship by being Ed Martin. I think in 1902. I think no, it might have been '03. It might have been '03. I kind of it leaves my mind, but he was able to become the Negro champion. But again, he was only able to become the Negro champion. He was not able to become the actual heavyweight champion because this is because John L. Sullivan, who was the current heavyweight champion, pretty much said there's a color line. Niggas are not allowed to become the heavyweight champion because, you know,
I will not fight a Negro, Sullivan announced after he won the title. I never have and never shall. For Sullivan and millions of his followers, the twisted logic of white supremacy dictated that the heavyweight champion of the world had to be a white man.
back then, being the heavyweight champion, nigga, you were the vicar of masculinity. You were the strongest man alive, and the idea of a black man being viewed as the strongest man alive, no, that couldn't go. So it was a color line wrote right there, and after John L. Sullivan, I might mix it up. I don't think I'm mixing it up. It was James J. Jeffries. Remember that guy? Because James J. Jeffries, he he's a very important character. I'm gonna roll one of his clips right now. Roll the clip.
This fellow Johnson is a fair fighter, but he is a black, and for that reason I will never fight him.
But yeah, James didn't really like Negroes like that much either. But he also drew the color line, didn't give Jack a chance. And out of that, it was Jim Corbett. And Jim Corbett also drew the color line, did not give Jack a chance. And then finally, it was a Canadian named, I think his name was Tommy Burns, but his real name was like Thomas Brousseau or something. He was from Canada. Like, no one, but like, Canadians aren't really that strong. I'm sorry. People want to get up. Canadians, come on now. Come on now. Like, I, any person from Canada, even I could beat a guy from Canada, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, you lying." I'm not lying. I'm telling you, but Canadians are not that strong. So you already know this was light work for Jack. But Tommy Burns also drew the color line. Tommy Burns was not about to fight a nigga. Tommy Burns was not about to do this. But he was offered $30,000. Now, I don't know how much that's worth right now. You can search that up yourself. But 30,000 way back in 1908, that was big money. And even the king of I'll roll it up. I'll put it up on the screen because I kind of forgot. But it was like the seventh, like Edward the Seventh. Even he was like, "Oh yeah, Tommy Burns gotta fight Jack. Tommy Burns gotta fight Jack." This is how big this fight was. Everyone wanted to see this fight, and eventually it happened. Eventually they were able to fight, and of course we already know who won. It was Jack. And when Jack won, it was a major upset for the current white condescending of that time because it was like, dang, a nigga beat a white person. That's not supposed to go down. That's not supposed to happen. The whites are supposed to be up here and niggas down all the way down here. But somehow Jack was able to break the barrier. And after that, Jack just kept on beating on white people, just kept on defending his title. And everyone wanted to see this guy lose. And this is where we get the concept of the Great White Hope from. We might have heard this phrase from really conservatives, liberal, anyone. You probably heard this phrase, the Great White Hope. Again, you get the phrase or the term, the Great White Hope, from Jack Johnson, and white people really wanting to see this guy lose to a white guy and never truly being able to see it. Keep in mind that when Jack became the heavyweight champion, he never fought a Negro fighter after that. Before, he really only fought Negro fighters, but those like exhibitions, and he was trolling. He literally fought like a nigga like 7 times. Like I put his name out on the screen. He fought that guy 7 times. He was trolling. He did not care. But the second he became the heavyweight champion, he just stopped fighting blacks. He only fought whites because that's what got the most money. And again, he just kept on defending his title. Now, James J. Jeffries, again, I told y'all to remember this guy. James J. Jeffries, he never actually lost. He just vacated his title and went to a farm. And it was like a theory that, James never lost. James never lost. So Corbett lost, Tommy Burns, all these crackers lost. But come on now, James J. Jeffries, that's our Great White Hope. He's gonna beat the nigga. He's gonna beat that coon. That's what they were really hoping. They were really praying to God that James J. Jeffries would be able to beat Jack Johnson. And this was a major fight. But even James J. Jeffries, he was retired for some time. He even knew that, that this would be a quite risky to get back into the ring. So even he was not feeling like fighting. But guess what? They offered that man, I think, $120,000. And right now, because of how like boxing is right now in like modern day sports, $120,000, this sounds like chump change. But $120,000 way back then, bro, that could get you so far. You would be set for life. So you already know James J. Jeffries. He got out of his little farm, stopped raking his leaves, he stopped everything. He stopped watering his plants. He got right into the gym. He started training. Everyone had his back. Tommy Burns or Rousseau had his back. Corbett had his back. Sullivan, everyone had this guy's back. Everyone was like, oh yeah, he's gonna beat Jack. And it's kind of interesting because James J. Jeffries, he was a very hairy guy, like a caveman, so he really did look like, he kind of did like represent like white masculine. He really did. That was him. And he was gonna go up against Jack Johnson, and he was gonna win, but he did it. He did not. He got mollywopped for I think 15 rounds. It was bad. It was terrible. I mean, they literally had to ban it. It was so bad that they banned it. And there was a poet, I think his name was like John L. Legend. I don't even know. Like these guys back in the 20th century, early 20th century, had the most interesting names you can ever think of. And he pretty much said, "Oh, we can't let these Negroes win because they're gonna think that not only are they better physically, they think they're actually equal, but they're not equal at all. They'll always be down low." So after James J. Jeffries lost, this was major. The Great White Hope was defeated. So you already know race riots happened, and this is one of the most interesting things ever in history because these days, depending on internet like places you go, certain places on the internet where you go to like them pro black spaces, whatever, they talk about the race war, a race war. Now, hold up. Let me just say something. Blacks would get mollywopped in a race war. Blacks would get absolutely destroyed. And there already has been a race war way back in the early 20th century, so race riots, because when white people saw the blacks celebrating that Jack won, because again, this Jack winning was a major win for the so-called black community back then. It was like, yo, finally, one of us did it. And, you know, they pretty much killed and lynched anyone they saw celebrating. I think 26 blacks, and that's what they recorded. Let's keep it honest. Let's keep it honest. It might have been 50, 60, 100. We will never know. But I highly doubt that it was only 26. They definitely killed more niggas than that. And I think only like 2 whites died. Only 2. And that was probably self-defense. And them niggas that killed them white boys, they probably got like 85 years. They probably never saw the light of day again after that. But yeah, that's the story of Jack Johnson. There's a lot more things. Jack Johnson also dated white women. Back then that was looked down upon in both the black and white community. Like that was not a cool thing to do, but Jack still did his thing. But yeah, that's a quick entry to Jack Johnson. If you found this interesting, entertaining, good, or whatever, please subscribe, like, and share, and